My fellow bassists, welcome back. So, in my latest Patreon poll, you guys said the biggest problem that you want to solve is that you can't come up with musical ideas. This is definitely one of the harder aspects of being a bassist. And you probably watched some videos that kind of just throw around vague concepts.
Not guilty.
Which is why I decided to create a video with a very concrete, step-by-step formula that you can easily apply and get some great original bass lines. This formula is designed with slap bass lines in mind, but it does work for fingerstyle bass lines too. It's also the exact formula that I used to write one of the bass lines in my new song, This Is Not AI, which sounds like this. Okay, so step one, just pick a key and literally any chord progression. For this song, I picked the key of E minor because it's the most slappable key, but feel free to just pick whichever one you want. The chord progression is nice and simple. It's just 4 bars of E minor, then 1 bar of A minor, 1 bar of B minor, and then finishing with 1 bar of E minor. For step 2, just play the root notes on beat 1 of each measure and use the same simple rhythm every time. So the rhythm that I'm going to use is just 2 eighth notes. It doesn't have to be 2 eighth notes, it could be 1 quarter note, or it could be a dotted eighth note followed by a 16th note. The important thing is to keep it simple and to apply it to every root note, because this is what's going to give our slap bass line consistency and not just sound like a random slap jam. So if I play that on beat 1 of each measure, it sounds like this. Okay, so it sounds pretty boring at the moment, but we do have the skeleton of the bass line now. Step 3 is to come up with 1 or 2 licks that we're going to insert between the root notes. This is where things do get a little bit more creative, but I can still give you some tips on how to make things sound cool and fit within the overall bass line. It's a good idea to think about the key that the bass line's in, which in this case is E minor. So whatever licks we come up with, let's use either the E minor scale or the E minor pentatonic scale. Another thing we're going to keep in mind is that funky slap bass lines usually involve some syncopation, which basically just means emphasizing the weak beats. So if the rhythm that we're using for the root notes doesn't involve syncopation, which is the case, then the licks that we add between the notes should have some syncopation in there. Our first lick could sound something like this. It's minor pentatonic, it has some syncopation, and I think it sounds pretty cool. Our second lick could be something like this. It's also minor pentatonic with syncopation, but it sounds pretty different from the first lick, which is good. Now that we have these 2 licks, let's use them to connect the root notes to each other. We don't just have to alternate back and forth between licks 1 and 2, we can apply whichever one works in the given situation. Also, we can move the lick around so that it's going to fit the chord that's currently being played. For example, lick 2 over the A minor chord could be played up here so that it leads into the B more smoothly. Let's try playing the root notes now and only using those 2 licks to connect the root notes. It's starting to sound much more like a bass line now, but it still doesn't have enough rhythmic funkiness for me, which means that step 4 is adding some ghost notes. 2 of my favorite ways to play ghost notes when slapping are with big, powerful strums, or with a simple slap and pop. The big powerful strums work especially well on beats 2 and 4, also known as the backbeat of each measure, but I generally like to put these ghost notes anywhere where there's gaps. Here's how our bass line sounds with ghost notes added. Okay, it actually sounds really cool now, and this might be where you stop if you're just writing a bass line for a band and not as a lead instrument. But since you guys are here watching my channel, I'm assuming that a lot of you want to take things one step further and turn this into a more soloistic bass line. If that's the case, then my only complaint about this bass line is that it's a bit repetitive, and so we're going to replace a couple of the licks with new fills. We're going to insert these fills halfway through and at the end of the bass line, since these are pretty common spots to build and release tension. When I wrote this bass line, the song was already kind of shaping up to have a bit of an anime feel to it, and so I wrote this little just ascending thing to connect the E minor to A minor chords. Something about those ascending octaves just feels very anime to me, and that G sharp adds a little bit of chromaticism that just gives some variety to the whole bass line. The last fill I added is more crazy, but it's all just minor scale with just one little blues note added for spice. You really don't have to go this crazy with the fills if you don't want to. I just wanted to show you how I apply this formula. Okay, so we've gone through the whole formula now. Let's listen to how the bass line sounds. Now that you've seen how I apply the formula, all that's left to do is to create your own bass line using this formula. And if you're struggling for ideas, especially for licks and fills, then it's very important that you listen and play along with your favorite bass lines and solos, because this will teach you the language of music and also just give you lots of inspiration to work with. You can also find my music theory crash course on the Basecamp Patreon, which will give you all the tools that you need for writing bass lines and solos, as well as hundreds of other exercises that'll give you the musical vocabulary that you need. Just slap the link in the description to join my community of over 15,000 bassists. And lastly, remember you can still enter the Schecter bass contest before January 31st. You just have to learn and upload a video of yourself playing the middle section of my new song, This Is Not AI, and actually part of that is the bass line that I showed you today, so you've got a little bit of a head start. And you can find out the full details in the description. I hope you found this video helpful, have fun writing some awesome bass lines, and I'll see you in the next lesson.